So on this feast of St. Peter and Paul, we have these two great pillars of the church, the founding fathers really, celebrated together. It's actually interesting if you look at the liturgy before the council, we had this feast and almost everything was about Peter. And you can understand that the church likes to talk about, the first pope and the keys of the kingdom and all of that. It was a little unbalanced in that sense, so much so that on the following day, it's June 30th, every year we had a commemoration of St. Paul to kind of make up for the fact that we kind of left him out the previous day. Well, we shouldn't be left out either. It's wonderful that we celebrate, these founding fathers, and, we can still have them, should have them as our heavenly friends and intercessors. But their stories and their lives are a reminder that all of us are called by name. All of us have our identity to discover and our mission to unearth, to find out. It's interesting if you look at who God calls. We might say, "Oh no, not me. I don't matter. This is not my thing. I'm not in." No. Each one of us is called, and the weaker we are, the less capable we are, the better. Yeah. Look at Peter and Paul. Peter, you see him in the gospel. He's constantly messing up. He doesn't get it. He denies Christ. All these things you think would disqualify him. He's only like an ordinary working guy. He wasn't chosen because he had a university degree or something like that. So, great. If we just come before God as we are, created by Him, certainly, we can be sure that He will call us, each one of us. It's only when we feel like I'm up to this, that's when we're in trouble. Because, of course, we're not up to that, to being witnesses to the values of the kingdom of God, to Christ in this world. St. Paul, the same thing. He was a murderer and a persecutor, strong personality, but he wasn't using it very well. But God chose him and transformed him. And his whole theology after that, if you read his letters, is clearly it's nothing that we do on our own. We don't merit this. It's not because of any actions that we performed that made us worthy of this. As he says in his letters, it's purely, totally the grace of God and our faith in that calling. It's totally grace. So don't worry, it's totally grace. You'll be up to it because God is up to it. And the lessons from the readings today, the first reading, where Peter is freed from the prison by an angel, or the second reading when Paul says he escaped the lion's mouth, metaphorically, and you see the Acts of the Apostles, the trials he went through. God will bring us through all the trials of our lives. And if we're serving God, we'll probably have more trials, but we'll be much happier and more fulfilled. But God will always be with us. So we need to go down deep enough to discover who we really are, what our call really is. Who are we in God's sight, created in His image? You won't find the answer on social media. I repeat, you won't find the answer on social media comparing yourself to this person or that person or trying to be an influencer. No. Nor will you find it in the catechism. No. Those are general principles. You've got to find out who you personally are in your relationship to Christ, to discover who He wants you personally to be. So you've got to go down deep enough in the silence. Switch off your phone for half an hour or 10 minutes or whatever to try and enter into the silence. Discover first of all who Christ is, who He is for you, how He wants to speak to you. That's what happened to Peter in the gospel. Who do you say that I am? He asks each one of us, who do you say that I am? Who am I for you? Peter confesses he's the Son of the living God. He messes up again in the next few verses. He's called Satan by Christ because he doesn't understand God's plan. But the point is, he did receive a revelation from the Father, who Christ is. And so will we. Who is Christ? Who is Christ for us? And then who are we? We'll get a new name. Did you notice? Saul became Paul. Simon in the gospel today became Peter, the rock. Who are we? Not who we think we are, because we can't think who we really are. There's a beautiful verse in the book of Revelation that says, "The one who conquers will receive a white stone with a name written on it that no one knows but the one who receives it." So we'll receive a revelation in the depths of our souls of who we really are. And then our call. How do we know what our call is? Well, as St. Ignatius of Loyola points out in his spiritual exercises, it's in that silence, as he insists, there's this deep, constant, joyful, peaceful pull towards a life mission, a vocation, a calling. And that will be your deepest desire. That's who because you were created to be that. So it's not something that will be imposed from the outside, which you won't want to do. When you really discover it, you'll really want to do it because it's who you really are. And it's that, I always say to people, your deepest desire, if you can get there, if your deepest desire is God's will for you, your deepest desire is God's will for you. That's how God reveals himself and reveals yourself to you. Another way of saying it, what are you passionate about? In a way that responds to the deepest call of God and of the world. Put it this way, where your passion meets the world's needs. That's one way it's been expressed. Where your passion meets the world's needs, because the world needs passionate people to respond to its needs. Follow your bliss is another way of saying it, but the real bliss deep down. So become that, discover that. And whatever stage of life you're in, it may be a new call. You have to keep listening. It certainly was for me. So you, with joy, discover who you can be in God's kingdom. There's a verse in the book of Revelation, which I'll sing later, based on a chapter in Zechariah the prophet, describing these two pillars. They're called the two olive trees and the two candelabra before the Lord of hosts. The Psalm 52 speaks about our being a fertile olive tree in the temple of the Lord. So if we really want to bear fruit, be rooted and bear fruit for the delight of all those around us, if you really want to be a light of the world, to the world, as Jesus says we are, you are the light of the world, to be a candelabra illuminating your family and your community and your world and your country, in which we so need, find out who you are and follow it with joy and enthusiasm and ardor. You'll want to, because it's who you're created to be.